So, plate to plate heat exchangers. We get them from UK Exchanges, and I can't sing praises enough for them. They're a great little company. They do all sorts of bits and pieces. I ordered this the day before yesterday, so let's open it and see what you get in the box. And here we go. So this is what you get. The insulation jacket is an optional extra. It's a well-made stitched one. I prefer these to the blown polystyrene ones because they're easier to get off. Obviously, you slide it on at the bottom and it fixes around there with a bit of Velcro. The plates themselves are really well made. This is a UKE BR05040 and that's its range. Obviously you've got serial number, where it came from, and this is a 1-inch port. This I'll do another video on this, on what we're using it for at a later date. You get a brazed plate heat exchanger quotation and data sheet sent on before you order it with all your bits and pieces on. So I'll tell you what side 1 and side 2 will do. All your costs, sizes, optional extras. We didn't take any of them because most of that stuff we've got in stock. So the plate was that, and then we took the removable jacket. Right, so I've done a dry run. I'm just going to strip it off and we're going to glue all these fittings on with this, which is 577. It's just a glue for metal to metal threads. Let's just take the jacket off, that'll be a bit easier. So as you can see there, it doesn't take a lot before it bites. That was quite loose when we put it on, and it's already starting to set. So we'll do this one as well. So all I'm doing there is sighting it so it's level. So it's on the threads now. You know, I need to make sure that's the female and that's the male side of the union. It's very important if you're gluing this side on that you put the nut on. So just putting this on hand tight. And it grabs it really quickly. I mean, that's taking some force to undo it, and it's literally on hand tight, so it dries very quick. So because this is domestic water, we're using brass fittings because obviously it's potable and we don't want it to rust. Right, so you can see that's only on hand tight, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it to dry and we'll see how quickly it starts to firm up. It's already getting it. You see it was moving before, and I can barely move it now. Look, it's setting already, so it dries really quick. Now I'll let you into a little secret, this is the first time we've used this, because we normally use that. So what I'm doing is putting it on the first couple of threads. So when you just screw it in. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. There you go. It's pulling the sealant all the way into the end. So what I'm doing here is I'm just making a little stand for it. Rubber line clips and some threaded rod. So I'll get that knocked up and then we'll show you it's nearly finished. Right, so today's job is to fit a plate rig to this cylinder. No fault of the cylinders, we just think that it's in hot water too long in the winter. It could have done with probably a 5-6 metre coil, but because we were short on space, that's all we could get in. And it's just taking a little too long to warm up, so we're going to put a plate rig on and that's going to sort the problem out. So what we're going to do, we're going to drain the coil down. This is your flow and return with your normal coil inside this tank. We're going to reuse these connections because this system's got a lot of glycol in it and we do not want to drain that buffer down if we can get away with it. And essentially what we're doing, we're putting a plate like that. That's the plate separation rig for the central heating to keep the glycol out of the house. Just makes it a bit neater. And that's it really. So brief overview of the job. It's 2 heat pumps outside by Mitsubishi Ikedan. There's quite a lot of kit in here. We've moved the electric board into here and that's all the control, the immersions for, sorry, I beg your pardon, the heat meters for both heat pumps. The kids have named them Steve and Bob, and obviously that's the immersion. Secondary hot water controller, main Mitsubishi controller, and then the rest of it is just a cascade kit. So if you look up there, you've got small expansion vessel is the glycol side, and then the expansion vessel for the heating is there. Portable expansion vessel there. Obviously cylinder, and then in the corner, tight in there, is a mains boost accumulator. Excuse me, I'll just take you outside and show you where the heat pumps are. Two new Mitsubishi Ikedan 11 kilowatt units, still to point out with lime. There we go. So they're a PUHZW112VAA. So these monoblock units, nice and tidy, neat. It's quite a large house if you look, whole farmhouse. So the system's about 18 kilowatts. They are building an extension on there, so that's why it's a little oversized for the minute. And that's it. So we'll get set up and then we'll get on and do what we need to do. So first job is to drain the cylinder down. So I've isolated the cold supply up there, and I've also isolated the secondary return, which is there. Okay, which links down into the bottom of the cold inlet. I'll explain why we did that later, but when we put the plate rig on, we'll change that again. Okay, so there's your drain off at the bottom of there. So we're going to drain the cylinder down now. So I've just opened the hot tap. We've left the cold water on in the house because we've now isolated from there. So that's us now draining the hot water cylinder down. So now what I'm going to do is, while that's draining down, I'm going to sort the glycol out.
the form return. So obviously it's got glycol in it, we can't drain it from here, it just goes up and down, so we're going to vent it here, and then I'm going to get the hoover and hoover the glycol and pick the glycol up from here.
Hopefully no mess.
So what I'm doing here now is, I've worked out that we can strip this one back, because we've got an isolation valve here on the 3-port, just you can't see it's out of shot. So I'm going to cut it back to here and run that into the plate there, and we're going to have to keep this one here as the return. This one is the actual return, so we're going to have to keep that. So that's as much as we can do there, because otherwise that's the last isolation valve before the buffer, and I don't want to drain that down. So we're just going to get on with that now, and then we'll get on to the next step. Setting it up now, just seeing where it's going to fit. So I'm going to have to do a bit of alteration. I have to cut them bits of unit strut down because they're a bit long, and I might have to go to the wholesalers because I've forgot some mail lines. But anyhow, it is Monday. Right, I'll get on and we'll get it a bit further on, and then we'll get another bit of a shot. Right, so that's it. The rig's in. We had a couple of runs. It's performing well. It's doing the whole tank in under 50-55 minutes. So how do they work? Only one of the heat pumps is connected to the hot water cylinder, and that would be Bob down there. So Bob, it comes in hot water mode, it comes on up here, down here, obviously air vent, down here, the 3-port valve opens. We've wired that pump to the live of that, so when this energizes and opens, it turns on. This is not a 3-port valve, sorry, this is actually a diverting valve. There's a difference. The heat pump will then come on, start providing primary water down through side 1. This is the flow. It's just been on, so obviously it's still got residual heating, and it's probably about 60 degrees. Let's have a look, see what it is. Yeah, it's just dropped off a bit, 58 maybe. And at the same time, it's sucking the cold water out of the bottom of the tank, up the cold, down there. It's actually connected on the cold inlet that comes down here. The pump comes on, and obviously it's in suction. It forces it through the plate. It picks up the 5 degrees from the primary water, up the pipe here, into the top of the cylinder on the secondary return tapping. So then it'll start to drag the water down, so that it will de-strap the cylinder all the way down. Keep going, keep going, keep going. So it will turn that cylinder over there. Well, it will add 5 degrees every 8 minutes, or approximately. So then we'll do the maths later. I'll do the maths later on. And it just keeps going until it makes temperature there, and that there is the tank temp, and it says it's 56. We've got this at 55. So that's what's done, finished. Hopefully that should solve that problem. We'll see you next time.